Perfect. I think we are live now. I can see people are joining slowly but surely, which is amazing. Hello, everyone. Greetings from in Uni UK. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Legina Wetherill, and I'm the Director of Recruitment within in Uni UK Division, a company of global university systems overseeing international students recruitment for a number of our partner universities. Today, I'm extremely excited to talk about our premium partner university, beautiful Canterbury Christ Church University. And you can see Canterbury Cathedral in my background where graduations take place. Today, we will be specifically covering CCCU School of Psychology and Life Sciences, and we will be talking about both undergraduate and postgraduate courses in psychology. So I'm really excited to be joined by the academic from the School of Psychology and Life Sciences at CCCU, Klara Jurstakova, who is a lecturer in psychology. Thank you so much for joining us, Klara. We also have Richard Venner, who is International Business Development Manager at CCCU, and we have my colleague from Uni Marketing team, Sukanya, who is helping us to run this webinar today. Just few housekeeping rules before we start. You're all on mute. If you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. So that's Q&A section rather than chat section. And we will take them from there at the very end of the webinar. So I really hope you can all stay till the end. We're also recording this session. So in case if you miss anything, the recording and the presentation also will be shared with you afterwards. Other than that, sit back and enjoy. And I really hope you find this webinar useful and inspiring. And just a quick reminder to our partners, GAS Gateway portal is still open for September 2025 application. So please ensure you submit your students' applications at the soonest, because the deadlines might be earlier this year, just to ensure that the conversion obviously happens earlier. Students have plenty of time to receive their CAS, to apply for their visa as well. If you have already submitted your students' applications, make sure that you also arrange outstanding documents, book consultations with my team on the ground, and arrange the next steps of your students' application journey. Precast interviews are also being conducted by CCCU already. So please feel free to book those at the soonest. And if those steps have already been passed, please arrange the deposit and apply for CAS. CASs are being issued for September 2025 intake already. So the sooner your students receive CAS, the sooner they can apply for their visas to the UK. All right, so I'll stop talking now and it's over to you, Klara. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just share the presentation and get it started. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect. We can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So it is a pleasure for me to speak to you today. I will be talking to you, as Dagina just said, about our psychology courses at CCCU. And my name is Dr. Klara Jurstakova, and I'm a lecturer at the School of Psychology and Life Sciences. I'm a psychologist, so I study how humans behave and sometimes misbehave as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, that this course might be the right one for you. Before I delve into the talk, I just want to remind you that apart from this talk, you can also look at our department on Instagram. So we've got our own Instagram page, CCCU Psychology. So this is where we post photos from the student events and what we do, and you will get to know us a bit better there. So you can follow us there. And we also have a TikTok account, which I don't have on the slide, but if you are on any of these platforms, then feel free to check us out there as well. So in this webinar, I will be talking to you about our undergraduate and postgraduate courses at CCCU, which are psychology specific. We will have a look at how these courses look like, so how you would actually be studying if you choose to study at CCCU. And I will also then give you a bit of an overview of what can you actually do with this degree, because that's something that we pay a lot of attention to. So not only we're trying to teach you psychology, but we're also trying to think about your future steps in terms of your careers. And that's what we will be focusing on a little bit at the end of this talk. So before I talk to you about the courses specifically and the modules we have and things we do, it's really important to give you a bit of an overview of what psychology at CCCU is like. And as you can see on some of these slides, we are quite a friendly department, and we also do a lot of student events. We host different workshops. We use specialized equipment. So psychology is a scientific study of human mind and behavior. And as you can see on some of these photos, we take that seriously. So on campus, we have our research labs. I've got one more photo over here. So these are actual photos from the research labs that we use to study the brain activity. For example, we measure the brain activity, levels of stress and things like that. And we've got these specialist facilities for you to use as well when you're studying psychology. Apart from that, we also have our own podcast. So if you want to check us out after the talk, we've got a podcast called Mind Over Mocha, where we've got interviews with some of our current students as well as alumni, and also some of our lecturers. So if you are interested, you can hear them speaking about their experiences. And then you can also see on the photo one of our lecturers called Phil, and he's holding a plastic replica of the human brain. But if you choose to study psychology with us, one of the things that we do for our students is we run these neuroanatomy labs where you can actually go and look at real human brains and study the brain anatomy with looking at actual brains, if that's something that you're interested in. And we also do fun events. So we do things like escape rooms. We have our own psychology society, which is a society of psychology students. So this is run by our undergraduate and postgraduate students, and they meet regularly. They go to pubs, they go for trips, and they also organize a Christmas quiz. So before the Christmas break, which is in December/January, we host our own psychology quiz. And this is a fun event where you get together with staff and students. So as you can see, hopefully from these photos, studying psychology is not just about going to university and sitting in lectures, but it's also about being involved within the department and also going for different field trips and so on. So to give you an example, our first year students usually go to the zoo to explore human behavior as well as animal behavior and observe animals in the zoo. Because we know that a lot of our behavior is actually similar to animals. So that might be a fun activity for some of you. We also go for a trip to Dover Castle. So this is a castle which is nearby Canterbury. And because one of the modules that you could take is about understanding our national identity and who we are as members of a particular society, we also go for these field trips. So as you can see, there's plenty of different activities that you can do while you're studying with us. And to give you an idea of who we are, so this is a photo recently taken of all of our psychology lecturers. So this is who we are. There's roughly 20 lecturers. And as you can see, there's a wide range of different people that would be teaching you. So we are a mixture of researchers and academics, which means that apart from teaching you psychology, we also research different aspects of psychology, and each of us is researching something else. And you'll obviously get to know all of that when you come and study with us. We also have members of the team from many different backgrounds and different nationalities. A lot of us speak different languages as well, including me. So I'm originally from Slovakia, been in the UK for the last 10 years. So there's also this understanding of, if you're an international student and you're coming to study with us, a lot of our lecturers have gone through the process of, for example, studying English and, you know, writing their first essay and things like that. So that's one thing which I think is quite nice. And a lot of our alumni and students always say that we are one big family. So this is also really a friendly department. A lot of people really enjoy getting to know each other as well as interacting with the lecturers. So it's not about being distance, being a distance between students and staff, but it's about creating this friendly, supportive atmosphere. Hopefully you can see that from the photos as well. And so to get into the courses that we offer, now I will take you through the main courses that we offer, and you might think about which one might be the right one for you. So in terms of our undergraduate courses, we have our bachelor's in psychology degree. And then this is a general psychology degree where you will cover all of the different aspects of psychology, and I will show you exactly what these are on the next few slides. But I want to highlight that if you are in a situation where you're thinking about, you know what, maybe I know slightly more specific what I want to do after I finish my degree, and I want to specialize from the day that I come to university. And then we've got also these 3 different specialist routes within the undergraduate psychology course. So we have psychology, clinical and forensic studies. Then we have psychology, sports and exercise studies, and psychology with education studies. So these are the 3 specialist routes that you can choose to take. Maybe as an international student, and also not knowing exactly where you will land after your degree and what you want to do specifically, I would maybe consider the psychology, the general degree, but yeah, that's entirely up to you. The important bit of information here is that all of these undergraduate courses are accredited by the British Psychological Society, or BPS, as you can see on the slide. And this is an organization in the UK which makes sure that any degree which gets this accreditation means that it's of a proper standard. You have covered all the important and key aspects that psychology is made of. And this is also consistent across all UK universities which offer a BPS accredited psychology degree. So it means that anywhere in the UK, if you go and study psychology, which has this BPS accreditation, you would cover roughly the same topics to make sure that at the end of your degree, you're ready to proceed with your next career steps. So this is what we have on offer for all of our undergraduate psychology courses. All of these courses, so no matter what you choose, if you want to specialize or not, they are all 3 years long, and these are full-time courses. So you would study your undergraduate degree for 3 years with us, and each year would be made of 2 semesters. So usually the first semester starts in September and lasts until December, the teaching bit. Then you've got some holidays and studying for exams. And then in early January, you would take exams from the modules that you took in semester 1. And then you would come back at the end of January and do your second semester, which would last roughly until the beginning of May. And then in May, you would take exams again. And so that also leaves you with quite a lot of time off studying, which usually involves June, July, and August. And this is the time when students either choose to travel or maybe volunteer or work at some different workplaces, also related to their degree. And so this is how the degree would look like, and this is what you would do for 3 years. And then each year, in each semester, you would have 3 different modules or subjects. So I will show you what these would look like specifically, and that would ensure that every year you would get 120 credits, which would allow you to pass to the next academic year. So to give you a bit of an idea of how those modules might look like and how does the degree work, this is a slide which shows you the general psychology degree. So this is the bachelor's in psychology. And so in year 1, you would all take these core modules. So that would include modules like brain, mind, and behavior, which is quite self-explanatory. You would study the brain. So this involves a little bit of biology and understanding what are the different brain aspects and areas which our brain is made of. How do we remember things? How do we learn? How do we use our attention? How do we perceive the world? Then we also have modules like social and developing self. So this would be a module where you would learn about the human development. So from birth till old age, what are the different developmental stages that we go through, and what is important for each one of them. The social aspect means that in psychology, we also recognize the fact that we as individuals live in a wider social environment, different cultures, we come from different backgrounds. Our, for example, education systems might be different and so on. And so we also talk about these social aspects of interacting with other human behavior, other humans and our behavior that we engage in. We also cover the history of psychology, and we take you through the most famous psychological experiments and studies that have actually shaped the way how we understand psychology and human behavior nowadays. And we would also cover research methods. So research in psychology is a module that you would then spot across all of these 3 years. So you would have research in psychology 1 in year 1, and then research in psychology 2 in year 2, and research in psychology 3 in year 3. So as you can see, a big aspect of this degree would be teaching you how to conduct research in psychology, how to analyze data, how to collect data. And basically this would give you quite a lot of skills in order to do your own independent research project. So in your final year, each of our psychology students does their own research project, which means that by the end of your year 2, you're becoming an expert in conducting research in psychology. And then you get to choose one member of staff, so one lecturer, for example, me, and you would be paired with one lecturer who would act as your supervisor, and your task in year 3 would be to create your own independent research project on any topic that you're interested in, and your supervisor would help you to actually do the project, and you would then write up this as part of your dissertation. So that's how it would look like in terms of developing your research skills and data analysis skills. One of the things which I also want to highlight is that you can see that there are some of these modules which are in different colors, so in purple. And so these modules are the ones where we pay a lot more attention to the practical aspect of what can you do with your undergraduate degree, and what might be some of the career paths and trainings that you might need in order to land in your dream career. So the graduate attributes modules and psychology in practice, and then we also have applied psychology in 3rd year, are modules where we invite guest speakers. So people who actually work in different fields of psychology, and they come and speak to you about their careers, how they got there, what kind of training or advice they might have for you. We also prepare you for job interviews. We help you with searching for jobs and identifying the careers that you would like. We help you to create your CV, prepare you for your first interview to get a job, and things like that. So this is something that we really are passionate about, and we try to always link what you're studying with applying it to the real world and thinking about how can you use these things in order to have your dream career. So as you can see, in year 1, you've got all these core modules. However, from year 2, there will be optional modules. So this means that the core modules are the ones that every path takes. So no matter whether you are on the clinical and forensic one, or sports and exercise, or the general psychology course, you would have all of these core modules. So you will get to know the people who are on different courses, because you will meet them for some of these modules. And then there will be the opportunity to just choose what you want to do. And so that might include modules like health psychology, psychology and education, psychology of nations, which is the one where I mentioned the trip to Dover Castle, or clinical and forensic psychology. And that also then is even more applicable to your final year. So year 3, as you can see, you've got even more choices. And so there's less of the core modules that everybody has to take, and you will get a lot more freedom when it comes to the topics that you're passionate about and you want to study. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of options. There's also some core aspects of the psychology degree that you will be covering, and hopefully there will be enough for everyone. So if you are passionate about clinical and forensic psychology or health psychology or anything else, you will get the chance to choose that. And this is also one of the, I would say, maybe positives of the BSc Psychology general degree, is the fact that if you're not sure what you want to do, and then maybe in your second year you discover that you are passionate about one area of psychology which you weren't aware of before, this general psychology degree allows you to have that freedom and choose the different modules by yourself. So this is how those modules would look like here. And then to give you an idea of how it would look like in one of these specialist routes for the BSc Psychology course, this is an example of the clinical and forensic course. And as you can see, in year one, the modules would be the same. So you would have the same modules as your friends on these other specialist routes to ensure that all of you have this basic foundation of psychology and you have covered all of these key aspects, which then allows you to proceed and do the specific subjects. And then in year two, apart from the optional modules, you would be assigned this specific module, which is clinical and forensic psychology. And then in year three, from your optional modules, you would not have a chance to choose all of these modules, but you would be always assigned to these specific clinical and forensic modules. So this type of specialization would be suitable for those of you who might be interested in becoming clinical psychologists. So that means working, for example, in hospitals and doing assessments and diagnosing people. Whereas forensic psychologists might be the one who are interested in working within the prison system, working with offenders, victim support systems, and so on. So if those are your areas which you're most passionate about, then this specialist route would be suitable for you. And one of the important bits to include is also that, for example, when you're on the specialist course, but also on the general psychology course, some of our staff members are not just researchers, but they're also clinical and forensic psychologists. So they have worked in these environments before coming to teach you about them. And so you will really get firsthand experience from people who have been doing this as their careers. And so they will also be teaching you about clinical and forensic psychology. So this is how all of our specialist routes would look like. So imagine that you take the psychology with educational studies. So again, you would have in first year, share everything with all of the other courses. And then in year two, your optional module would be the one which is about psychology and education. And then in year three, all of your modules would also be specialist to the education route. And that also applies to the sports and exercise route. So the sport and exercise route might be really important for those of you who might want to work in some kind of sports environment, like, for example, working for a football team or an ice hockey team or whatever other sports setting you are passionate about and you want to work as a psychologist there. But you're also really interested in the kind of physical aspects of how we move and do sports and perform at certain competitions, like, for example, the Olympic Games and so on, then the sport and exercise route might be the one for you. So this is how the undergraduate courses look like. And now I'm also going to take you through our postgraduate courses. So this is, there are two different routes that you can take. So let's say that you or maybe a friend of yours has already done a university degree, and that might be whatever, that might be history or literature or chemistry, but you feel like you're in a stage in your life where you want to change your career and you're actually interested in psychology and you want to become a psychologist, but you don't have the undergraduate psychology degree. So in that case, what we have is our MSc Psychology conversion course. So this is a course that is designed for people who want to change their career and they want to become psychologists and they haven't studied psychology before. So then the conversion course would be the one which is the most suitable for those of you who are interested in psychology. And then we also have two other MSc degrees, and these are for those of you who, for example, decide to complete the undergraduate psychology degree or have already completed it and want to take some next steps. So the next steps could be to do an MSc in Applied Clinical Psychology and or MSc in Forensic and Investigative Psychology. So those are our two master's courses, which are for those of you who have already completed or after you complete your undergraduate degree in psychology and you want to further specialize. And so these are all 1 year long courses if you take them full time, but we also have the opportunity to do these as part-time courses. So that means that instead of 1 year, they would all take 2 years because they would be part-time. And this is, for example, suitable for those of you who are thinking about, maybe working while studying or something like that. So that's what we offer in terms of postgraduate courses. And I will also give you an idea of what the modules might look like and what's the schedule of delivery. But I just want to, before I do that, I just want to point out that on these slides, starting from this one and then continuing throughout the presentation, there are some photos from Canterbury and from Kent as the region where the CCCU University is based in. And so these are just some photos which I took when I was a student at CCCU, because I also don't come from the UK. So I think that one of the things that as an international student you might be thinking about is also, where am I actually going to be studying and what might be some of the things that I will be doing over the weekend, moving to a new country, meeting new people, exploring places, going on trips is also a massive part of studying abroad. So that's also one thing to keep in mind, that even though my job today is to talk to you about what modules you will be taking and how our courses look like, it's also important to recognize that this might also be a big step in your everyday life. So yeah, enjoy the pictures while I'm talking about the courses. Canterbury is a really beautiful town, very medieval, historical buildings everywhere, a lot of different shops, so it is really welcoming. But coming back to psychology, our MSc Psychology conversion course is also accredited by the British Psychological Society. So in that way, if you decide to change your career, or if you know someone who wants to become a psychologist, but they haven't done psychology before, this course is the one for these people. And so this MSc course and also the other MSc courses we have are a little bit more intense than the undergraduate courses, which means that apart from studying for the whole year, it would be divided into 3 trimesters, so not semesters. So the undergraduate courses are semester based and you would have 2 semesters, whereas the MSc courses are trimester based. So this means that you would have 15 weeks per trimester, and you would have 3 of these. So this would also go throughout the summer, and then the completion of the degree would be towards the end of summer, beginning of September. But because we're aware of the fact that as a master student, you might also have other things that you're doing, maybe working on the side or something like that. The teaching days are quite intense, but there's only 2 of them a week. The undergraduate degree, comparably, we try to fit in the teaching into 3 days a week. So being physically on campus in lectures might be for 3 days a week, and then the other days are mainly used for self-studying, meeting with other students in the library, or having meetings with your lecturers, coming to their support sessions or something like that. But we try to sort of squeeze the teaching into these days in case you might have other commitments or need to work or something like that. And so the MSc Psychology conversion course has these types of modules. So as you can see, they are again covering everything you need to know to become a psychologist. So you've got a bit of history. So psychology in context gives you this overview of psychology, how it developed, where it is today. You've got social and developmental psychology, cognitive and biological psychology. So again, this aspect of the brain and studying the biology as well. Personality and individual differences, applied psychology, again, research in psychology, data analysis and statistics. So again, you need to develop these skills in order to then complete your independent research project. And you can see that here on the slide as well that also the MSc in psychology has this research project aspect. So every time you do something with psychology, you end up also designing your own research project and maybe asking some of the questions that you have been interested in for a long time, and you can actually put it into practice by conducting this research project with your supervisor. So also keep in mind that while university is a place where we encourage independent studying, there will be plenty of support available on the way. And I will also speak about that on one of the slides in terms of what support you would have if you choose to study with us. So to continue with the postgraduate courses that we offer, we have our MSc in Applied Clinical Psychology, and this is a degree that you could take after you complete your undergraduate psychology degree. And this would be particularly useful for those of you who might want to become clinical psychologists. So if you want to do assessments, work in the hospital, work in the mental health setting, provide diagnosis and really become a specialist in this area, then the MSc in Applied Clinical Psychology might be the route for you. Again, this is trimester-based, 2 teaching days a week, and the rest of the week independent studying, other commitments, whatever you decide to do. It's quite flexible at university. No one checks what you're doing as long as you're completing the assignments and engaging with the content that we provide to you. In terms of the modules, as you can see, these are a lot more specialist. So models of clinical psychology, psychological problems through the lifespan, assessment, treatment, and clinical skills, and so on. So you can see that this is quite highly specialized. And again, you would be also taught by actual clinical psychologists on this course. And CCCU also has a collaboration with this institute called Salomon's Institute. And this is an institute which actually trains clinical psychologists. So we also do a field trip there, and we try to connect you with the key people in case you decide to then train to become a clinical psychologist. You would also have to work in a mental health setting and so on. And so that would be a part of the Salomon's Institute training. So that's how students usually decide to do it. And then the final course that we offer is the MSc Forensic and Investigative Psychology. And so this is, again, a trimester-based course, same as the other postgraduate courses, but this one would be specifically useful to those of you who want to become forensic psychologists. So being a forensic psychologist means that you work with offenders within the prison system or victim support. And this is something which you also then focus on and are taught about by forensic psychologists at CCCU. So the modules are, again, highly specialized. For example, criminal justice and investigative process, understanding criminality and offending behavior, and so on. And as you can see, as I was saying, and I just keep repeating myself, all of these courses always involve your own independent research project. So again, if there's some kind of specific area which you are very passionate about, you've got this chance to develop your ideas throughout the research project. And the photo on this slide is actually not from Canterbury, but it's from one of the seaside towns called Broadstairs. And so Canterbury is based in Kent region in the UK, and there's plenty of different trips that you can take by the train or bus every weekend. Everything is quite close, and you can just be on the beach relaxing over the weekend if you come to study with us. One of the things which I just remembered that I didn't share with you, and I really wanted to let you know about this, is that our MSc Psychology Conversion course is also available as a distance learning course. So we've got the on-campus course, but you could also take exactly the same course as a distance learning student. So that means that everything would be fully online, and you could study it by watching different videos and interacting with us and having webinars and so on. But it means that you wouldn't have to be physically attending lectures on campus. So we've got this option for the MSc Psychology Conversion course. We don't have it for the undergraduate course or for the other courses, but for this one, we've got the distance learning course as well. Okay, so we're getting towards the second half of this webinar, and you've already heard a lot about the courses that we have, but I also promise that I will tell you about the support that you would have as a CCCU student. So if you come to study with us, you would be given quite a lot of support, as you can see on all these bullet points on the slide. So we've got free IT and software, and also IT support on campus. So we've got a big library building in Canterbury where you've got IT, and if you've got any issues, you can just take your laptop there and they will help you resolve it. And it also means that all the software that you will be using during the course will be provided to you for free as part of being a CCCU student and studying with us. You will also be assigned a specific person who's a member of staff. So that could be, for example, me or any other lecturer as your personal academic tutor. And this means that you would have one dedicated member of staff from day one when you arrive, that you would be able to share any concerns, talk about feedback, or share any struggles that you might have, or if you need any support in terms of finding the right career choice or something like that. Basically, this person would be your closest friend in the department, and we organize meetings each semester, a couple times a semester. We can meet with you. We can also meet with you as our PAT group. So that means that you will also be connected to other students who are also, for example, my PAT students, and you would get to know them. So you would feel like you're part of a community. So we try to make this available, and students tend to really enjoy it. So we've got this, but apart from that, we also have our own specific academic tutor. So this is Lucy, and Lucy is a member of staff who makes sure that, for example, if you're going through some personal issues, or let's say you need extra support, or you need an extension on your assignment because there's something going on. So Lucy is a person that would meet with you and set up everything so that you can succeed in your degree and make sure that you meet your deadlines, but these can be spread out, and there's quite a lot of support that Lucy can provide in this sense. We also have a specific librarian who helps us with accessing books and resources. So we've got a lot of ebooks as well as printed copies in the library, and Lawrence is a person who knows all about this. So if you need any help with that, you could speak to Lawrence. Also, let's say that you haven't really written that many essays, or you need to somehow boost your skills in terms of writing. We've got Rami. So Rami is a learning developer, and our students can book one-to-one meetings with Rami, who helps them with assignments, helps them with writing essays, and makes sure that you feel confident about your other assignments, or if you need to go through feedback, there's also this opportunity. We also have our student disability services. We also have support for those of you for whom English is not their first language. That was also me, and is also me. It's not my first language, so I understand how hard it sometimes might be to write academic text in English. So we've got support for that as well. We also have peer mentors. So these are undergraduate psychology students or postgraduate psychology students who are in the year above you, and they are also on hold every week, and they help students with assignments. So if you feel like maybe this is something that I don't want to talk about with my PAT or with another lecturer, but I want to get some feedback from a fellow student or something like that, then we've got these peer mentors. And also if that's something that you're interested in. So let's say after your year one, you feel like you would be really enthusiastic in terms of providing support to other students who are coming to study with us, you can also become a peer mentor yourself, and you would then be involved within the department in this way. And then we've got our well-being team and chaplaincy. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of support available, and we also try to make sure that you find this enjoyable experience studying with us, and we try to provide as much support as we can. So in terms of employability, this is something that we also pay great attention to. So we understand that by studying with us or at any other university, it's one of the steps on your journey. So we want to make sure that you land your dream career, and we try to think about that from the day you come and study with us. So as you can see, from our first semester, every semester we make sure that we connect you with the right people. We speak about careers, we invite guest speakers. We also have one lecturer who is our employability lead. And so Emma, her name is Emma, she always puts up a conference. So every year we've got our employability fair where different employers come specifically in psychology related fields, and they come and advertise their opportunities to you. We also make sure that we send you information about all the openings in terms of jobs or volunteering. So there's quite a lot of support available here. We also offer a placement year. So some students choose to do a placement between year 2 and year 3. They find an employer, let's say a hospital or something like that, and they spend a year working there, and then they come back and study with us. So we've got support for the placement year as well. And then we've got a lot of different programs within the university. We've got our Careers at Enterprise Hub, which is a career support team in the library, and any other sort of job opportunities that we can find for you, we advertise to you. And then one thing that I would also point out is that we also, as a university, have a lot of job opportunities for students. So this is done through a platform called Unitemps, and you can, for example, sign up to become a student ambassador, which means that, for example, I was telling you that we've got these specialist labs. And for example, when we have open days and when prospective students come and visit us, we show them these labs and we show them how we do research in these labs. And this is, for example, something that our student ambassadors help with. So they speak to prospective students, or they go to events with us, and they advertise our course, but also share their experiences as to what is it to study psychology with us. So there's plenty of different opportunities in terms of how you can get involved, as you can see. In terms of what can you do with a psychology degree, there's a lot of different routes that you can take. As you've seen, so many different topics are covered within our modules when you study psychology. And so that also reflects the different careers that you can do. So you can teach psychology, obviously, and do research in psychology, but you can also become, for example, a clinical psychologist or an educational psychologist. So that would mean working within the educational setting, helping, for example, children with learning disabilities. Health psychology, so promoting health and well-being, for example, I don't know, reducing alcohol intake or reducing smoking or promoting healthy lifestyle. You could also become a forensic psychologist, sports and exercise psychologist. You could also study the brain. And also there's a lot of different other careers which might not be explicit from the very beginning of your course, but we also try to invite people who work for example, human resources in different organizations, or who design how we use websites or apps to make them enjoyable. So that would be, for example, user experience research and so on. So there's, as you can see, a lot of different routes that you can take as a psychology graduate. And so this is where you would be studying specifically. This building, Verena Holmes building, is a new building on campus in Canterbury, where most of the psychology modules and lectures are run. Obviously, you would be walking and studying around the whole campus, but this is one of the buildings that we use. Also, for example, if you want to hold the real human brain and learn the brain anatomy, this is where you would be doing that. So we've got our anatomy learning suite there, which we use for these purposes. And so just to wrap up, I would also just recommend, if you're interested in Canterbury, have a look at what kind of accommodation the university has and what might be the best type of accommodation for you, because as an international student, you would be moving to a new country. So you also want to make sure that you're comfortable in the new country and in your accommodation. And also don't forget that if you study in Canterbury, obviously you've got the town where you can explore and have fun and go to different cafes and restaurants and meet with friends. But Kent as a region is very beautiful. There's a lot of different seaside towns, as I was saying, but also, for example, if you like the countryside, if you like hiking or going to castles, it's also an opportunity to explore all of this if you study with us. And yeah, this is everything that I have prepared. So now we can move on to the questions. And thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Clara. I think you've covered pretty much everything, right, Richard? So let's see if we do have any questions. But really, really useful information. And I'm sure our attendees found it quite helpful and inspiring, especially for students who are planning to come and study at CCCU very, very soon. Just a quick reminder to everyone who joined a little bit later, as mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, for our partners specifically, you can still submit applications via GAS Gateway. Please aim to file complete package of documents for your students, just to decrease the time that it takes to consider your students' applications and also the back and forth that it may take. Let's ensure that you book consultations with my team on the ground as soon as possible, or with our interview team, if you wish to do so. If you have already done so and provided all outstanding documents, received unconditional offer letters, please book your students' precast interviews. For now, the university does have slots, but as we're approaching deadlines very, very soon, the slots will be very limited. And the university may also start asking for students to pay deposits prior to interviews. So please use this opportunity whilst we still have plenty of slots available. If you have already passed the interviews, please arrange your cash deposits. So just a reminder, it's only £5,000 at present, and then you can request your cash as well, unless you're applying for the standalone foundation, for which you would need to pay full tuition fees. But for this year, CCCU is not increasing tuition fees, which is great. So after scholarship, you're only paying £14,000. All right, let's see which questions we have received and go from there. If a student did bachelor's in public health, can they apply for master's in psychology?
Is that a question for me?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that you can definitely apply for the MSc conversion course, but in the UK, you would need to have either the Bachelor in Psychology, which has the BPS accreditation, or you would have to do that through the conversion course, which is 1 year, and then you could proceed in the psychology career.
Okay, great. So potentially, if students didn't have a degree in psychology, they can go for the conversion course, MSc Psychology,
yes.
And then they can complete further qualification to be a qualified psychologist in the UK. Great, thank you. And if I can just actually jump the queue here, I saw you mentioned on your slides the work placement availability for undergraduate students, right? So this is an optional element of the program. What is the cost involved for students? What do they need to pay for the placement year? Because obviously they wouldn't pay tuition fees for that year. They're not studying. It's only placement year. But is there still placement fee?
I think there is. I'm not 100% sure in terms of the exact sum. I think it's a less money for the tuition fees, but there is something.
Okay. All right. So we will double check then. Okay, we'll double check and come back. But normally, yes, the university only charges maybe 3,000-4,000 maximum, I'd say. And also it's a great opportunity for students to gain experience during their studies. Have you maybe had any success stories where students completed the placement year and then they managed to have a full-time job after graduation in the same company, perhaps?
Yeah, we've got so if anyone who studies with us, they will get access to our basically we've got a set of resources where we've got alumni stories, and so we've got students who have done placement year. For example, one of my actually students which I supervised for their research project has got a job in London in one company, and then after graduating, they got the full-time job there. So yeah, there's definitely some of these nice stories.
Perfect. That's really good to know. Thank you. And just as a reminder to everyone, because I know there have been lots of news recently about potential changes within UKVI policies, this is still at the proposal stage. We're still operating under the current regulations. So all international students are allowed to work part-time during studies. So that's 20 hours per week if you come to study undergraduate or postgraduate programs, and full-time during holidays. And also you are eligible for a 2 years post-study work visa, graduate route visa upon graduation. So if you complete your bachelor's or master's degree at CCCU, you can then automatically apply for the graduate route visa, and it's currently 2 years. There have been no changes to UKVI legislation yet. It's only at proposal stage, so don't need to worry about it at all for now. All right. Can students apply for MSc Psychology without any work experience?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. So it can be fresh graduates because it's a conversion course. It doesn't have to be specific to psychology background. So anyone is pretty much welcome. So if they are changing their subject area, I guess it would be good for them to provide a good personal statement, just justifying why they want to change the subject area, how it will help their future career plans. If you also have study gap, please ensure you justify it within your CV and also personal statement. All right, thank you. Do we have this program starting in January, February? I think we only have one intake for psychology courses, right? So it's September is the main intake.
It's
but
always
we still
September.
accept application. Perfect. So we still accept applications for September intake. So please submit your student's application at the soonest. Does CCCU have any industry links for forensic psychology graduates?
Yeah, so we've got some of the lecturers that we have work for different prison systems and so on. So I forgot to mention that, but for example, Lisa, one of our lecturers, she also organizes trips to, for example, a police station or a prison and things like that. So we try to make sure that you've got these links, as well as through the guest speaker. So if we have a guest speaker coming, even if that might not be on the module that the student is taking, there's usually a chance to then reach out to the guest speaker and sort of get this kind of direct contact.
Amazing, thank you. So I understand clinical psychology has a slightly higher English requirement, so IELTS 7 is required. So what if a student has less than 7, so let's say 6.5? Are we still offering pre-sessional, Richard, for September intake? Is it on campus?
Yeah, but I believe we are, Dagina, still offering pre-sessional, yes. Looking at the clinical psychology, I believe it's a 7.5 overall that students need to attain in academic IELTS.
Okay, that's great to know. Thank you. So it's not only IELTS that the university accepts. So if perhaps you prefer another English test like Oxford International is being accepted, which you can do online, you can go for that option. Also, depending where you come from, some of your local qualifications could be considered. For example, if you come from some states in India, in South, but also just recently we've started accepting HSC from Gujarat board as well, if students achieve at least 70% in English. So just double check with our team members on the ground on specific English requirements for your region, and we can go from there. But in case if you still fall short of English requirement, there is a pre-sessional, but yes, you would need to come a little bit earlier to the UK. All right, so I think we've answered already this question. Can students apply for MSc Psychology without relevant bachelor degree? Yes, because it's a conversion course, they can. So please just provide a good personal statement to justify. Okay, what are the professional opportunities after MSc Psychology conversion course, Clara?
So I'm actually teaching on the course, and there's, as with every completion of a degree, there's any opportunity that you might take. So for that year, if you do the MSc course, it's quite intense. So you cover so many different things, and most of the students in that year try to search for jobs. So there's literally any job available depending on the area that you're interested in, and you kind of start from the basics. So you kind of start from the early levels and then you develop from there. So we've got a lot of students finding careers in psychology. An example of that would be, for example, educational psychology. I had a student last year who wanted to become an educational psychologist, and so they've kind of started applying for the trainings, worked for a school, and then sort of went from there.
Perfect, thank you. That's really good to know. How do the psychology courses prepare students for careers in clinical and or applied settings?
So if you want to become a clinical psychologist, that depends on the country where you want to do that qualification in. But I would say that studying anything related to clinical psychology in the UK is of a very high standard, because one of the things that all of these trainings involves is doing some research while you're training to become a clinical psychologist. So for example, you learn about those research skills, and you also learn about the information that you need to know in order to start this training. And so in psychology, especially in these very specialist routes like becoming a clinical psychologist, it's also good to check where do you want to get that training, for example, maybe in your home country or somewhere like there, and look at what are the specific pathways to get that qualification. So I would say this gives you the foundation, but then the specific steps afterwards are going to be country specific and career specific.
Great, thank you. What will be the academic study progression after MSc psychology, clinical psychology, or would it be clinical psychology or research degree perhaps? Do students get into PhD?
There's a doctorate. So if you want to practice clinical psychology in a hospital, there is a doctorate, but a lot of other students choose to do, for example, a PhD. I haven't talked about that on the course, but we also have PhD opportunities. And so that's also what a lot of international students choose to do.
Oh, brilliant. Yes, many students prefer to continue their studies and then potentially get into universities to become professors, perhaps. Great, thank you. What are the English requirements for psychology? I think Richard mentioned it's 7.5 in IELTS, or you can consider another proof of English as well. What are the academic?
Sorry to interrupt you, Dagina. Yeah, I've just been looking at the website because it's there's some slightly different requirements, I think. So for MSc Forensic and Investigative Psychology, it's a 7 at IELTS overall. And then the MSc Foundation in Clinical Psychology, it's a 7 overall. And then a doctorate in clinical psychology, it's a 7.5. So I think for the MSc, it's actually a 7 overall
7.
at IELTS.
Oh, great. Even better.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Academic English language requirements for both undergraduate and postgraduate. What about undergraduate, Richard? Is it 6.5?
I think it's a standard 6 at undergraduate level, Dagina.
Great, thank you. Do we offer distance learning program in psychology?
Only for the conversion. MSc conversion course has a distance learning program.
Oh, okay. So only for that option. All right, thank you. Can I apply for psychology as a computer science major? I think you said it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Does CCCU offer research degrees? So I understand the university does offer research degrees, but currently it has limited spaces. So we're not recruiting into research programs. I mean, international students, but if you are already a student of CCCU, so let's say you start with MSc Psychology first, and then you want to progress into research degree at CCCU, so that can be one of the options, so that can be considered absolutely. And there are a few research programs the university offers. They might open up more spaces in future, in which case we would be able to also recruit international students, but not just yet, but we will keep you posted. MOI is currently accepted for Nigeria, I understand, Richard, as per our recent conversations, but we're still waiting for update from the university, I think, for South Asia, so not at present yet. Again, something we'll keep you posted on if and when we receive an update. Research degree, we've already, you said post-study work visa. For post-study work visa is 2 years for undergraduate, postgraduate, but if you complete research degree program, then it is 3 years. Dahra, so thank you for your question. Please share the detail about interviews. So interviews are normally conducted by the university compliance. So it's a precast interview just to ensure students have made the research about the university, the program they chose, how it's going to benefit their career, their financial situation as well. Prior to that, our team on the ground actually helps you with preparation for that interview, and that is what we call consultation session. So that can be a few attempts given to you to pass consultation session, just to make sure you are prepared for the university actual precast interview. And also please keep in mind that in some countries, UKVI, so British Embassy, may also decide to interview you. So you need to be well prepared for that. What are the basic entry requirements for international, both undergrad, postgraduate studies? So it depends where you're coming from. So high school certificate, diploma, we would need to look into, and bachelor's degree in case if you're applying for postgraduate. But again, you can submit your application via GAS Gateway or via your education advisor, and we can look into it, or reach out to our team on the ground and they can advise you further depending where you're coming from again. Post-study work visa, I think I've already answered that. Okay, so students have to pay 5,000 initial deposit. Yes, correct. So that is to reserve your place and to apply for your CAS letter. And then you're paying 50% of outstanding fees, which is 4,500 once you have secured your visa and before you fly out to the UK, so that it's allocated prior to your enrollment. And then the outstanding 4,500 you can pay post first term, or you can pay all in one go if it's easier. Is there enrollment fee? No, there is no enrollment fee. So it's just the outstanding tuition fees that you will need to cover. Okay, so that, I think that was the answer to the next question. Installment plan. Few questions regarding admission. Does university conduct the interview? So as mentioned earlier, the university conducts precast interview once your unconditional offer letter has been issued. So you can book it through the student portal or let us know and we can arrange it for you via the university admissions team. Prior to that, our team on the ground helps your students to prepare for that interview by conducting consultation session. So it's not really 2 interviews, it's just initially we conduct consultation session to prepare your students to pass the precast interview, and that is why we can potentially allow a couple of attempts if needed. And also it helps your students to prepare for a UKVI interview in case if it does take place. Are these interviews recorded, conducted live? They are conducted live with the interview team or the BD team on the ground, and normally we record them as well because the university may decide to review them at any point. So we haven't announced the deadlines just yet, but we're having conversations with the university at present to establish the deadlines, but they should be earlier this year than last year. So please ensure you submit your application at the earliest to give your students enough time to apply for CAS, apply for visa as well. Okay, student completed FSc pre-medical in 2024 and they don't have 2 years bachelor's. Would they be eligible for bachelor's program? Clara, I'm not sure where the I think that this question is
think
from
so.
Pakistan, actually.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think
again, if you can
anyone
submit,
would be.
yeah, if you can submit the application, and if it's at the high school level, then I'm sure they can be considered for bachelor's degree. Is there also foundation offered for psychology programs? There is an integrated
Yes, we have a foundation year as well.
Amazing. Perfect. So you can be considered either for direct entry onto first year bachelor's degree, or you can go for integrated foundation if you meet the English criteria and obviously the academic criteria. But the good news is CAS letter is issued for the whole duration. So it's 4 years. So you don't need to apply for separate visas. You can just apply for one visa straight away. Amazing. I think we've answered all the questions here. Oh, there are a few more. Does part-time opportunity only for level 1 or for all levels? Currently, students can have part-time work opportunities. I'm not sure if you mean study opportunities or work opportunities, actually. So part-time work opportunities for both undergraduate and postgraduate, so it's 20 hours per week. International students have to study full-time, so they can't really study part-time if you're coming to the UK on a student visa. So you will need to study full-time. But how many hours per week do they normally attend, Clara?
It's usually 3 days a week, and each day it might be 6 to 8 hours. So yeah, there's definitely 2 days of the work week where students can do part-time jobs.
Amazing. That's great. And if you're staying on campus, it's actually very convenient. So you don't have to spend any additional time or money on commuting. And Clara already covered accommodation, but just to highlight once again, it's very affordable, especially if we compare to London. It's only £500-600 a month, and all bills are normally included. You can also choose private accommodation if you prefer that option, but private accommodation would not have all bills included. It would be additional. And CCCU is only within 55 minutes from London. So in case if you do have relatives or friends in London, you prefer to live in London, you can still commute, but just keep in mind, obviously, train cost might be, well, you would still need to cover that within your expenses. But some of the postgraduate students do prefer to stay in London if they secure maybe some part-time jobs there, and then come to CCCU a few days a week for classes. For undergraduate, we definitely recommend to stay on campus. So parents also have peace of mind. It's a very, very safe place, walkable, lots of activities, as Clara mentioned, very beautiful, picturesque. So it's very, very nice. Amazing. And thank you so much for answering all my questions from Pakistan. Pleasure. Thank you for raising questions. That's great. Amazing. Thank you so much, Clara. Really useful webinar. And I'm sure we will be receiving more applications for psychology programs from our partners. So please ensure you submit them via GAS Gateway at the soonest. We do have webinars every week for CCCU, so stay tuned and we'll see you at the next webinar. Thank you all. Bye-bye.